Done reading the roll.
Thank you. Council members Barajas,
Present.
Blaisdell,
Present.
Grimm,
Here.
Harpster,
Present.
Perales,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne,
Present.
and Mayor Serrano.
I am here.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you'll all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. With that, I'll move us along to item number 4, which is our consent agenda. We have a handful of items. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council or enacted by a singular vote, by a singular motion. There will be no separate discussion of any of these items unless one of the council members asks for removal and further discussion. Then it would be removed to a later portion of the meeting via the regular agenda. So with that, item A is approval of meeting minutes for May 19th and May 27th, 2025. Item B is bills and communications, approving claims in the total amount of $4,387,389.29. And item C is resolution number 7605, the 2025 to 2029 Tri-Cities Home Consortium Assessment for fair housing. With that, do we have anyone seeking to remove any of these items? Hearing none, Mr. Milne, can we get a motion, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Milne and second by Ms. Blaisdell. Ms. Clerk.
Councilmember Barajas,
Yes.
Councilmember Blaisdell,
Yes.
Councilmember Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Harpster,
Yes.
Councilmember Perales,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne,
Yes.
and Mayor Serrano.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, we'll move on to item number 5, which is proclamations and acknowledgements that are not listed. Moving along to item number 6, we have public comments. Now is the opportunity for the public to address council on items unless it relates to a scheduled public hearing. And we have one of those listed in item in section 8. So as long as you're speaking on something not addressing that item 8, you may address us at the podium. This is the opportunity for folks to bring items to the council, to our attention. Excuse me, to provide your opinion on an issue. It's not an opportunity to provide for debate or expecting some sort of immediate response either from staff or from council, as some questions do require deliberative information and further consideration. We do appreciate your participation. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, as you'll see by the clock that's running to my right. As you approach the podium, it'll be to your left. And those with lengthy messages are requested they summarize them, and then you're always welcome to submit further comment, again, as I mentioned, via the Ask Pasco app, City Manager, City Clerk, or if you have handouts, you can hand them to the lovely City Clerk, who will then pass them down to us. When you approach the podium, if you can provide us your name and your county of residence, that'd be great. So with that, I'll make a couple of calls. This is the first call for public comment. Go ahead. And if you can push down on the mic, there should be like a little mouth button. There you go. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Marcel Brown. I'm coming to address the council about a cell phone tower that they want to put in my front yard. I live on Riverview Drive. I've been there for 25 years. I have grandkids that are growing up. It's radiation, property value, and a whole bunch of other things. And I don't think that I should have to pay taxes every year on those, the place that they were going to put it. And then they can say, well, I just do it whatever I want. So if they own it, then why am I paying taxes? So I just don't think that they should be able to put that there. That's about it. I just don't want it there.
We certainly appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Thank you. Ma'am? It looks like a mouth with a couple of lines. There you go.
I'm also the grandparent, but I don't live there anymore. But, you know, the effects, we really don't know about, we just want you to really consider it. I have 6 grandkids living there, and they're real young, so just please consider that.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any additional public comments? Ms. Mahoney?
This on? Yeah. Mary Mahoney, Pasco resident, to Pasco via RCW 42.56. Pasco City Attorney Lee Kerr took an oath to follow the U.S. Constitution that says no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. Yet, Mr. Kerr authorized animal control with the right to seize, kill, and/or send our family dogs and pets to WSU for research without the semblance of due process. So Mr. Kerr did not tell the truth when he took his oath to follow the Constitution and to comply with due process. See files for Bell, Jake, Kilo, and thousands more. Further, Mr. Kerr falsely stated he would provide a copy of the termination agreement between WSU and Animal Control, now called Tri-City Animal Services, or TCAS. Mr. Kerr did not provide the termination agreement, and Animal Control continues as an animal research provider to WSU, and also as a high-kill facility with no spay-neuter program and no adoption program. See Tri-City Animal Services rehire Angela Zeiler's quote, "The dogs euthanized at WSU were ones we would have had to kill anyhow," end quote. With that, provide how much money WSU pays Pasco, the Animal Control Authority, and/or Tri-City Animal Services for our dogs and cats for WSU research. Provide Tri-City Animal Services Zegan Zeiler's training in humane euthanasia methods to end botched and painful deaths that Animal Control calls, quote, popcorning the dogs and cats, end quote. Provide the results for 48 counts of animal cruelty, the theft of $375,000, the missing and/or stolen rainy day fund at Animal Control. See Chambers, Howard, Hernandez, and Zeiler. Provide the fines paid by Pasco and spot zoning developers, Hayden Homes, for killing our 8 floodplain American bald eagles and their eaglets. Provide a permit number 404 that allows Pasco to develop and destroy our floodplain. Provide all past and present ULID and/or LID designs for my Pasco property with start dates and costs. Include all Pasco officials' communications regarding harassment and retaliation against me and my property. See requests made by me on May 5th and May 19 to Pasco regarding payments to ex-Pasco Mayor Matt Watkins regarding his directorship or his LLC and Watkins Endeavor LLC. How much are we paying him? And Pasco's cap bonds. My comments are for the record and to put Pasco on notice.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, council members. My name is Amber Wade, as you might know by now. I live at the Sands Mobile Home Park in Pasco, and I know this might seem like an unusual comment, but I'm here today to honor someone who has quietly given so much for our city. This week, Becky, the very first resident of the Sands Mobile Home Park, is preparing to move now after 55 years in the same home. She's in her 70s now, and while this is a big transformation, she's meeting it with strength and grace. Becky has been the heart of our park. She's someone who checks in on neighbors, helps people through hard times, and has never asked anything in return. She's supported children, veterans, the elderly, and anyone in need quietly and consistently. She's been a source of stability, kindness, and community for generations, and now we want to return that love and support to her. We are inviting anyone who can lend a helping hand for her to move tomorrow and Wednesday with care, dignity, and gratitude from everything she has done for us. The address here at the Sands is 1416 North First Avenue, Lot 21. She will need help Tuesday at 2 p.m. That's tomorrow, and Wednesday bright and early at 8 a.m. She will be traveling with her family clear back east. I keep getting the state wrong. Let's give Becky the send-off she deserves after 55 years of showing up for others. It's our turn to show up for her. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comments?
Good evening. My name is Frankie Hurley, and I live around the corner from Marcel Brown. And I also object to having a telephone tower put on my property as well. And if Verizon decides to put the telephone pole on his property, what's going to stop them from cutting into other people's property? And we also know that the tower, the poles, irradiates some type of poisoning, and so I would totally object to that. And I think each property owner should be able to object to that and have you all address those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any additional public comments? Going once? Going twice? Going a third time? Thank you. Appreciate those comments. With that, we'll move on to item number 7. There's a single item. Item A is verbal reports from council members. Mr. Prowse.
Appreciate it, Mayor. Sorry, I've not been talking all day pretty much. I met with the Housing Authority of the City of Pasco and Franklin County. Just had a meeting just about kind of what they're doing. They're going to be doing lots of growing here for the next couple years. The last time Matt Truman came in and actually talked to the council was well over 2 years ago. So I reached out, we had a meeting, and they're going to look into perhaps buying some land, and they're going to need partnerships and working with the city to get permitting and stuff. So it was a really enlightening meeting, and yeah, he's looking to start really expanding their housing stock. So it was a productive meeting, and I think as of right now, he wants to extend an invitation to perhaps come and present to the council, give an update. I mean, it's been 2 years since he's been here, and just kind of tell us their plans for the future. Then I also just met, I stopped in at ProMade Homes today to discuss the the dust storm from this past weekend, and they're going to work better at making sure that their ground is more saturated and that they have individuals out there on the weekends. But at that point where it was really windy, you can put water in all day. It was so windy, the water was just kind of just flowing in the air. So I know a lot of people were upset on social media, people who reached out to me, maybe other council members, but ProMade is going to do better. And so I guess we'll just find out on the next dust storm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prowse. Ms. Blaisdell. Sorry.
Thank you. I attended the Visit Tri-Cities board meeting last week. Hector Cruz shared that the Washington Recreation Park Association had the opportunity to visit downtown Pasco and eat some good tacos. So they were pretty impressed with downtown Pasco. Also, I attended the District 2 Community Police meeting. Areas of concerns were racing and mini bikes as the weather gets warmer. And I also attended Farmers Market this last Saturday, and I believe that'll be going on every Saturday until October. Is that correct? So, and that's from 9 to 1.
Thank you, Ms. Blaisdell. Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. On Thursday, I had got to come here to City Hall, and we had some students from Virgie Robinson Elementary. They got a tour of City Hall and the police department, and I got to play mayor, and they had wanted to know all about council and told them all about it, and I had 2 classes, and it was quite a lot of fun, and the students got to sit up here at the dais. Everybody wanted to get the mayor's spot. My spot wasn't as everybody wasn't fighting for that one. So, but anyway, it was good. It's been a couple hours, and again, hopefully represented the city well. And then on Friday night, I did attend the TCRA graduation with a local fireman, and it was really good. Had a good turnout. I was also Councilwoman Brajas was there as well. So I think we're the only two elected officials there, but it was a good time, and it was really good to see the upcoming graduation class, and they did a video and get to hear their stories. And again, I was glad that I was able to take time out of my Friday evening and be part of it. That was me.
Thank you, Mr. Milne, and thank you for covering that event. I'd hoped to come to see the kids, but duty called, and I got to see the beautiful city of Spokane. That's certainly not as good as the city of Pasco, but I won't pull punches. Ms. Brajas.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, just wanted to mention that, yes, I was at the graduation. Very proud moment to see, 16 graduates. But I do want to highlight 2 of those graduates that came to Pasco, and that will be Cooper Famright and Jerome Needhold. So congratulations to them, and welcome to City of Pasco. Also did attend a luncheon, but I'll leave that to Mr. Harpster to talk a little bit more about that. But again, congratulations, Fire Department.
Thank you, Ms. Brajas. Mr. Harpster.
Yeah, I attended a luncheon with Ms. Brajas. No, we attended the Tri-Cities Chamber of Commerce luncheon, which was legislative update from Senator Torres, Senator Binky, Representative Clicker, and Representative Manjarez, I believe they pronounce her last name. It was sort of a depressing presentation. We all know already what's happened, but I did want to note Senator Binky's remarks at the end kind of brought it all full circle. And if I could summarize his comments, it was something like, there's wins and losses, a lot of losses for those folks this year, but we keep fighting and we keep pushing. And in the meantime, we respect the people who are in the position they're in. He specifically mentioned Governor Ferguson, and keep trying to work together and make our communities better. And so that took me from sitting there wishing I hadn't attended, frankly, to just more motivated to keep doing what we're doing up here and keep supporting them as we can. So it was a good luncheon. And then Saturday, as Councilwoman Blaisdell mentioned, I did attend, the farmers market. And the one thing that I noticed was that whole area appears to be just so much cleaner than 12 months ago. And a lot of the activity that was maybe going on in Peanuts Park North was not present, and I haven't seen it there happening for a while. And then talked to a couple different business owners there, and they passed along their kudos to staff for the work that's been getting done in that area. So I wanted to pass it along to all of you. And it's just great as a council member for a city that I really truly love and have grown up in, to hear stuff like that from people and see really good sized crowds. Typically this time of year, before all the crops start coming off, it's a little hard to draw some crowds out there, but it was noticeably busy, and they had kids band out there and stuff. So I think lots of good progress being made there, and really cool to see. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Harpster. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Speaking of food, I forgot I attended a fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club with Benton Franklin Transit, and the new CEO there, Thomas Stross, just really brings a lot of new energy, passion, and excitement. Some of you may have seen online that they are starting express trips to the Tri-Cities Airport, and more kind of investment as it directly relates to Pasco. He has envisioned this perhaps a little bus, as he calls it, the shopper, that maybe just takes little trips around downtown Pasco, connecting people with close residents to kind of the downtown shopping areas. So he really comes to the table just with some great ideas, great enthusiasm, and even for somebody like me, it's inspiring to be around. But Boys and Girls Club looks like they had a very successful fundraiser, investing in the lives of so many children in our communities. So great turnout, and great to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm, and thank you for attending that. If that's the breakfast, I'd hoped to attend that, but same reason I missed. I was out of the area. Wednesday, I had the opportunity to cross the river. A friend of mine Sergeant John Davis received what they call the John Goldsberry Award. This was by the Rotary Club, and really the ultimate goal is to not promote in the sense of giving him a promotion, but promote an officer who embodies service above self. So when I heard he was going to be honored with that award, my wife and I attended. Not so much in the mayoral capacity, but it's great to see folks throughout the community recognizing our great officers, both for fire and police. And so, shout out to John and his great work and his team, and folks at PD and the folks at fire. Thursday, I attended a National Parks Committee meeting. If you're not aware, they're doing some work to the B reactor, so tours are temporarily stopped for about, I think, 2 years. As you can imagine, with one, a behemoth that size, and two, trying to keep the historical authenticity, it's not so easy to replace a roof as it may be with, your shingles or something of that nature. So it's kind of a bummer, but it's the process. It'll bring the integrity of the building and the structure, and again, keep the historical presence. I think what I'm hearing is like a 50-year lifespan that it should add to the B reactor. So once the work's done, it'll be back up for quite some time, God willing. Let's see. In addition to that, and I have a list of places I was somewhere on Friday, and I don't know why it's escaping me where I was. Friday night I attended the Dust Devils game with the Amazon folks that invited me and my son over, and we were recognizing, back to the Boys and Girls Club, Amazon donated $40,000 as a community partner to Boys and Girls Club. Robert, the Youth of the Year from Pasco, was one of the individuals throwing out the first pitch, so it was pretty cool to recognize not only the commitment and the partnership between Amazon and our community, but also, recognize one of our local youth. So that's always exciting. I think that's about it for me. So with that, we'll move on to item 8, which is hearings and council action on ordinances and resolutions relating thereto. We've got a single item, item A, which is a public meeting and resolution number 4606, accepting notice of intent to commence Annex SG Land Management LLC and Horgan Farms LLC. It's a 10% annexation petition, and this is going to come from Director Miller.
There's the button. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tonight before you is a resolution to accept a notice of intent to commence the annexation procedure. And this topic was discussed at a prior meeting, and the purpose of this meeting is to set the stage for the next steps in the process, where staff will take in the annexation application and begin reviewing it, and then eventually the specifics of this application will be brought forward back to Council. And so during the public meeting, Council is, as outlined in code, reviewing these 3 key items: the annexation area itself, and staff is proposing that we modify the annexation area to include the portion of Burns Road that's located north of the project site and north of other neighborhoods that are already in city limits. So staff is recommending motion B tonight for consideration. And the second item to consider related to this is whether or not a simultaneous adoption of zoning regulations will be required, and it is likely that staff will go ahead and recommend that route. We do want to review the application, and then when it comes back, have a formal application or a recommendation within that. And then the final item is whether or not there's an assumption of bonded indebtedness that is required for the site, and that will be reviewed in the materials. So staff is requesting a motion from Council and recommending motion B. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Do we have any questions or comments? Seeing none, this is listed as a public meeting, so I suppose I need to, and I'm not opening a hearing. Am I offering comment period?
This is one of our one-offs in the statute. The legislative body is required to hold a meeting in public with the initiators. So typically what we do is just ask if the initiators are here and they would like to speak on this matter before you move forward. At this point it's not a public hearing.
Okay. Yeah, I caught that and I forgot the distinction. So is the initiator here? I'm going to assume that silence means no. I guess going once, going twice, third time. Okay. It sounds like the initiator is not going to speak. So with that, Having no comments from council or questions, go ahead and move forward with the motion, Mr. Milne.
All right, so I'm going to move with motion B. I move to approve resolution number 4606, accepting the notice of intent to commence annexation proceedings for the SG Land Management LLC and Horrigan Farms LLC annexation, providing a determination on the boundary to be annexed, which includes a portion of the right-of-way of Burns Road, and whether simultaneous zoning and assumption of bonded indebtedness will be required.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Milne, second by Ms. Blaisdell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. It moves us along. You all right, Ms. Barros? We need to take a break?
I'm good.
Okay. If we gotta do it, we gotta do it. Just wanna make sure you're okay. With that, we got number 9, which is ordinances and resolutions not relating thereto, and resolutions not relating to hearings. Sorry, I went a little lower on that and just went into full autopilot for a second. Number 8, at letter A, is ordinance number 4768, Sawyer RS1 to R1 zone change. This is Z 2025-002. And back to you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is an ordinance, and this is part of a quasi-judicial process where this rezone has been notified to the public, and a public hearing was held by the Pasco hearing examiner, and the meeting for this was held on April 9th, where all aspects of the project was reviewed, and the hearing examiner did recommend approval. There were no appeals received, and details can be found in the packet, specifically the hearing examiner decision. And with this request specifically, the applicant is requesting to rezone the site from RS1 to R1 low-density residential. And this change will allow for additional density on the project site. And staff is recommending approval of this matter. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do I have any questions or comments from council?
If I could, Mr. Mayor, this
Yes,
is
sir.
a quasi-judicial matter, so I'll just run through the script
Yep.
real quick, if you don't mind. So this is a quasi-judicial hearing or proceeding to render a final decision on the materials presented. It's defined as a proceeding in which the council defines the legal rights, duties, and privileges of the specific parties in a hearing, proceeding, or other contested proceeding. The appearance of fairness doctrine applies, and the hearing must be fair in 3 respects: form, substance, and appearance. All council members should consider whether they have potential conflicts as follows: A, a demonstrated bias for or against any of the parties; B, any direct or indirect financial interest in the outcome of the proceeding which would affect the council members personally; C, whether there has been any prejudgment of the issues prior to hearing the facts; D, whether there has been any ex parte contact with anyone other than staff prior to this hearing; and finally, E, any other conflict which a council member believes would prevent them from hearing this matter fairly and impartially. If any council member has any of these concerns or disclosures, now would be the time to make them known. Seeing none, are there any members of the public seeking to disqualify a member of the council from participating in these proceedings? Seeing none, please proceed.
Thank you. With that, do we have any questions or comments from council staff? Seeing none. And we don't need to open that for the public comment, correct? Okay. Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4768, amending the zoning classification of certain real property located on the east side of Road 40 near the intersection of Road 40 and West Pearl Street, Pasco, Washington, further authorized publication by summary only.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Milne, second by Ms. Blaisdell. All in favor, say aye. Oh,
Aye.
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 Any opposed, say aye. Hearing none, passed unanimously. Was that supposed to be a roll call, Ms. Clerk? I saw you poke your head up. Okay, just want to make sure. I saw you give me that look. I thought I was in the right lane. Just wanted to make sure. With that, we'll move along to item B. Do you want to go ahead and kick us off with the quasi-judicial?
Sure. Yeah. So same pretext that we just or premise that we just moved forward on, except just a reminder that any council member should consider whether they have potential conflicts related to demonstrated bias for or against any of their parties, any direct or indirect financial interest, whether there's been any prejudgment of the issues prior to the hearing, whether there's been any ex parte contact with anyone other than staff, and finally whether there's been or if there's a council member believes there's anything that would prevent them from hearing the matter fairly and impartially. Any council member with any of these concerns or disclosures would need to make those known now. Seeing none, any member of this public seeking to disqualify a member of council from participating. And seeing none, please proceed.
All right. With that, we are going to kick ordinance number 4769, Stutzman RS12 to R1, zone change Z 2025-003 to Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mayor, and apologize for going out of order on the last item. This is a similar process, and this is for a rezone from RS 12 to R1. And this application was forwarded to the hearing examiner, and a public hearing was held on April 9th. And there was an approval recommendation provided by the hearing examiner. No appeals were received. There was opposition that I noticed in the public testimony summary of the hearing examiner meeting, and there was just concerns in general about the duplexes that were already under construction, which the zoning does allow for. And this rezone would allow for the owner to subdivide the duplexes so that they could be separately owned parcels. So the hearing examiner reviewed that, took in the input, and recommended approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions on this if you have any.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council and staff? Seeing none, Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4769, amending the zoning classification of certain real property located in the corner of West Sylvester Street and Road 34, and further authorized publication by summary only.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Milne, second by Ms. Blaisdell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
So did I hear 3 nays? Is that correct? Okay. And did you catch those? And then Mr. Milne. So our bookends, and then Mr. Milne. So Perales, Milne, and Grimm. Okay. With that, it passes on a 4-3 vote. Moves us along to item C, ordinance number 4770, amending sections of the Pasco Municipal Code regarding work exempt from permit. It's going to stay with you, Director Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was workshopped last week with the group, and this is a great slide. Thank you for pulling this up. Staff is excited to work toward exempting these different uses in the code. So Pasco has, over the years, which they are permitted to do, has required permits for certain activities that are exempted on a national scale through the International Residential Code and the International Building Code. And so with this code change, it would enable the residents to bypass the permit process with Pasco, save a trip, and be able to construct these different items listed or related to roofing without coming in and getting a permit. So this is a very exciting step for Pasco, and I feel a little guilty taking this near the end because I did not start this. I do want to give credit to our deputy city manager, Richa, and then the staff who worked on this. But we're looking forward to saving time for our customers. And we do have a flyer that is prepared that outlines these new stipulations. So we intend, if this is adopted by the council, to educate our customers who are calling in. We'll have a cheat sheet that says, here's what you can and can't do. If customers do need additional support with locating sheds in their backyard, or if they're not sure where their fence will be located, we will have our front permit staff help them. If the questions become more complex, we'll transfer them to a planner who can help them with the spatial regulations for the site. So we believe with outreach to our customers and educating that we can assist customers in building these correctly and in the right location. If for some reason there is an issue, that would be something that we would work with the property owner on through code enforcement if it does come to that, and if something is built over an essential water line or sewer line. But we will educate people when they call where they can locate these structures in their property to alleviate hopefully most of those cases.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council? Mr. Grimm?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Director Miller. I'm absolutely over the moon by this. I know this council's been, had some frustration here and there about goals and agendas not maybe being done in the time we would appreciate, even though we've thrown a lot at staff. But this is one, thank you each and every one of staff who worked on this, because this is just a big win for the citizens of Pasco. And I was going to bring some red tape, Mr. Mayor, that we could ceremoniously cut, but I did forget that. Probably a good thing, but no, and I appreciate staff talking through some of the potential issues of, somebody building something that may end up in the right of way, or something that could bring a real issue down the road. But overall, I think this is a big win for the people of Pasco, and we'll obviously free up some staff help. I think as this says to be utilized for a higher mission, and just a big win all the way around. So thank you so much, every member of staff. Deputy City Manager Sigdell, I know you worked on this a lot, and thank you, Director Miller, for bringing it across the finish line. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. I'll definitely echo the sentiments of gratitude. I know it's something that we've talked about, trying to figure out how to right size some of our code provisions. So thank you to all staff who worked on this. And Ms. Miller, welcome to the team. And you get to carry the torch across the finish line. So you're the heroine of the day. Seeing no further lights, can I get a motion, Mr. Milne?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4770, amending Pasco Municipal Code sections 16.05.050, 12.040.100, 12.04.120, 19.10.070, and 25.180.050 regarding work exempt from permit and further authorized publication by summary only.
Second.
Thanks for the quickness on the mic there, Mr. Graham. No personal investment there. So we've got a motion by Mr. Milne and a second by Mr. Grimm. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. That moves us along to item D, which is resolution number 4607, interagency agreement with Washington Traffic Safety Commission to conduct dedicated DUI enforcement patrols and ordinance number 4771, amending the 2025-2026 operating budget, allocating funding for the increased overtime to conduct dedicated DUI enforcement patrols. It's listed as Chief Roski, but is it Lieutenant or Sergeant? Lieutenant Decker?
Lieutenant Decker.
All right, got you right.
Not as attractive as Chief Roski, but my bad.
We still like you.
Oh, thank you. I'm your guys' favorite, aren't I?
No one's our favorite, but you're all our favorite.
All right, it's not about me. Let me get you. So I'm seeking your guys' council, mayor, thank you very much for being here. I'm seeking your approval for a grant that has been funded. Just waiting for approval from this council, from the Washington Traffic Safety Commission / federal. It's a grant that we had sought previously for a year program. We weren't part of that. It was awarded to 2 other departments, but in that, the Pasco shined so bright that they gave us a second grant that they put aside for us. So I'm requesting approval of a grant for $43,500 in grant funding to support a targeted impaired driving prevention initiative. This project will fund overtime DUI enforcement shifts, overtime mentorship focused on DUI investigations, and enhance public education efforts through outreach and social media. The grant also covers the purchase of DUI-related equipment, including LiDAR, speed detection units, and portable breath testers. These resources will enable Pasco PD to increase proactive enforcement, improve officer proficiency, and expand the reach of traffic safety messaging, particularly in non-English speaking communities, which the grant is also funded. The initiative directly addresses the growing concern of impaired driving in Pasco, where DUI arrests have increased in 2024 and continue in 2025, and impairment remains a leading cause of fatal crashes. By investing in the strategic enforcement, officer development, and community education, this grant supports a comprehensive approach to reducing collisions, saving lives, and reinforcing the public trust in the traffic safety efforts that Pasco has put forward. As Pasco continues to grow, this program will help ensure we meet the rising demand for safer streets and accountable enforcement. I can take any questions if you have any.
I see Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Lieutenant Decker. I just want to thank you for your work on this, and I look forward to having some more enforcement dollars, especially ones that don't have to come out of our budget. It was just last week I was kind of highlighting information, or the week before now, from the COG, just talking about the rise in serious injuries and fatalities here, especially in Franklin County and everything. So really appreciate any more emphasis and enforcement we can have. And it's probably the number one thing I think probably I know me for sure hears from constituents, just as far as just woes of traffic and everything. So really appreciate you guys taking advantage of this, and I know you will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Ms. Braha.
Thank you, Mayor. Lieutenant Decker, this might be a question that I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer, but you can definitely come back with it. Just a quick question in regards to around the last 2 paragraphs on the discussion part. It says that there is external funding with no local match requirement. Can you just elaborate a little bit about that and what it means?
I can address that if you'd like. Essentially, usually many grants come with requirements of a 5%, 10%. So if they are giving us $100, then we need to, if it's a 10% matching, we need to provide 10 local dollars to the grants. So you really cannot get the $100 without spending $10. And so essentially this grant does not have any matching requirements. So whatever we get from the grant, there's no requirement for any of the city's funds to be spent in order to qualify for those funds.
Thank you. That's what I needed.
Every dollar they give us is a dollar we can spend. So I'll have to make weekly reports to Washington Traffic Safety Commission for what we do spend for that week and provide data to them why I'm doing what I'm doing. So the benefit to this is, I'm sure we're all familiar with the Teen Target Zero program. That I run based upon their data and where they want us to do enforcement. With this grant, with the data I have, whatever the need for Pasco is where I can push the resources to. So it doesn't have to be targeted what they want. I can push it to where our data says we need help doing this and use that money for those resources.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple quick things and then hopefully roll into motion. Do you anticipate this is going to be more, I know it's enforcement, do you foresee it being like stops with, like a reader board or active patrolling? Both?
It's everything. So this grant covers everything from getting new equipment for those officers that are out there so they have it, doesn't affect patrols resources from what we already have. So it gives them new equipment so them to go out and hunt down impaired drivers. It covers everything from social media, paying them to be in overtime to do social media posts, to go out and do interviews with the radio shows, to do Spanish-speaking radio, that kind of thing, all in overtime, to do a whole board from everything from social media to putting the reader boards out, those kinds of things. But the majority of it, the bulk of that money, is for straight enforcement. And as of right now, we're a little behind because of just the way how things lagged with getting that grant in. So I actually have, once this kicks in, I'll have to be able to put out extra patrols once this starts. So it won't impact the staffing at Pasco because it's an overtime detail that we will be scheduling out. So it's going to do everything. It'll run all the way until the end of September 30th.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that, and I look forward to seeing the quarter end report or whatever September 30th turns out to be. We really appreciate the work y'all do in keeping our community safe. I see no further lights, so Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 4607, authorizing the interim city manager to execute the interagency agreement with the Washington Traffic Safety Commission and the Pasco Police Department for grant funding to support DUI overtime.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Milne, a second by Ms. Blaisdell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. Now to the second one, Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4771, amending the 2025-2026 biennial operating budget by providing supplement thereto to provide additional appropriation in the city's general fund, allocating funding for increased overtime for the police department to conduct dedicated DUI enforcement patrols, and further authorized publication by summary only.
Aye.
I'm guessing it's a second. I mean, it can be both.
Second.
But,
I second that, yes.
Okay,
I wanted to say that.
Well, you can have both if you just sit tight a second. We got. It's okay. We all are. It's a Monday. So Mr. Milne's got the motion. Ms. Barajas has the second. Do we have any discussion on? If I know typically we don't do that, but since this is a second motion on the same topic, I just want to make sure we didn't need to cover anything. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, that too passes unanimously. That rolls us into item number 10, which is unfinished business. There is none listed. Moving along to item number 11, there's a single item, item A, that's new business. Designating voting delegates and alternate delegates for the Association of Washington City, or the AWC, annual meeting scheduled for June 26th, 2025. Interim City Manager Zabel, looks like you're taking this.
Yep, good evening, Mayor Council. So the AWC annual meeting will occur, as the Mayor mentioned, on the 26th, and that's kind of sandwiched into the Association of Washington Cities Conference, which is going to take place at Three Rivers between the 24th of June and the 27th of June. So the annual meeting itself, a little bit different than the meeting. Meeting, you just need to register and you're in there, but annual meeting, you need to be actually designated by the council as delegates or alternates to be able to participate. Kind of a rough agenda is election of the board, AWC board of directors and officers. There'll be an update from the AWC chief executive officer, update on 2025 legislative session, and then voting on amendments to AWC bylaws and AWC policy statement. So there's a lot of opportunities for council and other city officials to participate in this. Council needs, like I said, council needs to delegate. We need to report in advance who the alternates are to AWC, delegates and alternates are. And so tonight we're asking you to kind of flesh out that slate as to who you want. As far as I know right now, I think Councilmember Barajas and Councilmember Perales are registered. I'm not sure if other council members have registered in the last few days or not, or plan to register. You don't really necessarily have to be registered to show up to the annual meeting. You can attend online, or you can participate in it, I believe, in person as well. There's also a number of staff, registered staff are available to be alternates or delegates as well. So my recommendation is that you designate 3 delegates and a couple of alternates.
Sounds good, thank you. So before we get into the appointing or whatever we're doing, are any of the other council members not listed and intending on attending? I know Mr. Zabel, I've sent an email saying I might, but that's as far as I've committed. So I just want to make sure, okay. So my suggestion is, with that, unless there's a reason not to, we appoint those 3 council members as our delegates. So you're certainly committed, Ms. Blaisdell? Okay. So it sounds like you do have one action item after this, which will be to make sure she's registered. I mean, not you. You can delegate that downward, sure but for staff. So, I mean, I guess let's go ahead and take these 2 pieces, or 2 actions at once, or 2 separate actions. So the first one would be to appoint our 3 delegates. Would be Mr. Perales, Ms. Blaisdell, Ms. Barajas. Does anyone? I see your lights on, Ms. Barajas.
I have a follow-up question for Dave after we're done with this.
Okay. I guess with that, does anyone having discussion? Anyone oppose those 3 names as our delegates? I hear none. So can you go ahead and make a motion on that, Mr. Milne? This would be that first half of the motion.
Okay, I move to approve up to 3, Mr. Perales, Blaisdell, and Barajas, as the City of Pasco's voting delegates in the June 26th, 2025 Association of Washington Cities annual meeting held at Three Rivers Convention Center, Kennewick, Washington.
Perfect. Got a motion? Can we get a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Milne, a second by Ms. Barajas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. Ms. Barajas.
Question, Dave. Will the City of Pasco be participating in the Parade of Flags this year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I needed to know.
With that, we still have the second action, which is to appoint our 3 alternates from that list. Now, Mr. Zabel, does this conflict with other sessions, or is this separate from the?
Yeah, the business meeting's separate from the session.
So it's not like if we pull, some of our executive staff out, you're missing something that's ultra critical.
This is. Matter of fact, other attendees can sit outside of the delegate area, the non-voting area, and observe.
Okay. So seeing the list has a handful of folks on the slate to my right. Let me start with this. Does anyone over there not want to do this? I mean, this is your out. This is not going to reflect on your performance. If you don't want to attend this and you'd rather sit outside, I don't know why you would, but air conditioning works there too. Okay, I guess if there's no one that doesn't want to do this, it seems to me it makes sense. Mr. Zabel, Miss Sigdell, either Miss Pichon, or since Director Miller's here and listed, maybe we could hand it to her. What are your all thoughts? We want Pichon or Miller, since Miss Miller's here. And
Miss Miller's here.
you cool with that, Miss Miller? Okay. So we're gonna go Zabel, Sigdell, and Miller. Any further discussion on that? Okay, can you make that second half of the motion, Mr. Milne?
Thank you. Yes, I am making a motion that we designate Zabel, Siddell, and Miller as substitute delegates in the case an approved delegate is unable to attend the AWC annual meeting.
Second.
Got a motion by Milne, a second by Blaisdell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, that passed unanimously. I know it's a little bit of a split process, but we got it done. Miscellaneous discussion. Mr. Zabel.
Just one item I wanted to get on council's radar. June 17th, we have the Basic Law Enforcement Academy graduation at Hapo Center. That'll be at 10 a.m. As I said, June 17th. So,
Can you make sure a calendar invite gets sent out for that? There probably is one
okay,
already,
we'll
but
do that.
usually I look day of to make sure I'm not screwing things up. I'm just going to throw myself under the bus. Okay, anyone else have miscellaneous discussion? I see Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items. In my meeting today with Matt Truman, he was telling me that Paul Cook, who we approved back in August of last year, is still not approved by the city to be on the Housing Authority. We haven't sent over paperwork for him, approved paperwork, so he wanted me to bring that up, and I figured I'd bring that up in a miscellaneous. And then also I was going to request, can we get more information about this Verizon cell tower? Because I mean, it was essentially a complaint about it, and just I want to learn more about it, and I guess if there is a complaint process, and how does that go?
We could do that. Matter of fact, I was in the process earlier today of kind of putting together a note. Staff's been working on this to kind of get council up to speed, but short story is that you know, as a local agency, much of your former authority, as of about 30 years ago, was preempted by the federal government having to do with telecom, the ability to regulate telecom within the public right of way. So you're very limited. Two, you did go through a franchise process. This was the U.S. Cellular, and you know, even in that franchise process, there's only so much the city could regulate. And frankly, it isn't a whole lot. So what you heard tonight, that example, and I plan on getting a hold of Browns as well, but and is with U.S. Cellular, but they're operating within their permit and they're operating within the franchise. That's the unfortunate part, and there's not much this council or prior councils could have done about it, at least not in the last few decades.
Okay, and then lastly, I know we've talked about fluoride a few times today. It seemed like perhaps we're going to get information. I was just wondering, engage interest from the council, if we can just bring forward a vote in the next couple weeks to just remove it from our water without getting a staff presentation and or hearing. So I think a lot of us feel that we should just take it out, and so that's what I wanted to gauge the interest of the council. Thank you.
So I'll speak to that before I get to you, Mr. Grimm. I'm certainly in favor of removing it, as insofar as I think my concern with jumping ahead of staff's presentation is if there's an indication of a high cost or a prohibitive issue of removing it, I'd want to be informed of that, or if there's some sort of process that would implicate other water quality issues, I guess. I don't know enough about it, but again, if staff's done the research and they say, hey, look, it's as simple as running it through a filter again and not going to cost us a bunch of OT and that sort of thing, I'd be okay with that. But I do think the presentation potentially could present those types of concerns or address them. Mr. Ferguson.
Just for the council, mayor and council's edification, I have not even looked at the legal ramifications of any of that. We've been obviously busy with school impact fees and vendors and all these other larger projects at council, as well as the packet items that we do have to do on a regular weekly basis. So we haven't even looked into the legal aspects of that yet. So just FYI.
Okay. So I think I'll just take my position. I don't necessarily need a formal presentation if staff's going to run it to the ground and give us the information. But that's my take. Anyone? Yeah, Mr. Zabel.
Yeah, I will just throw this out here because this is something that's come up before in the city back probably 8 years ago or so. I think we had maybe 2 different presentations about it. And it's a health issue, you know, and there's 2 sides to it. I honestly don't think the cost or the procedural issues are that significant. We'll probably save $50,000 a year in chemicals, right? That's basically, and the water plant operator's job is probably going to be a little bit easier. I'm not sure what we'd have to do for, off the top of my head, and Director Sarah's not here, but in terms of modification of any kind of equipment, but I don't think it would be very extensive. But I think the thing I would just caution the council, what the city attorney set aside, is that there'll be a lot of interest in this. There was before, you know, because there's people that are strong believers in fluoride for dental health, and there's strong believers opposed to fluoride, and you're probably going to want to give them a little bit of some runway to address you. And if my fear, and certainly council can do what they want, but my fear is if you just make a decision without inviting input from those groups, it could just come back and bite you, and you know, they'll probably give you input anyway, you know, for a while, and I don't think it does a whole lot of harm to let folks talk. So.
Okay. I guess with the Mr. Grimm, is your light still on or newly
It's
on?
both.
Or both?
Well, it's both.
Let's address fluoride, and then we'll go back to your
yeah.
comment.
I guess I'm good with what the rest. I was just kind of writing a note that yes, to the best of my recollection, it was yes, just asking for staff to put together a resolution or whatever it took to remove it. But with that, yes, if we were looking for some information or whatever that might be helpful, my stance is probably with you, Mayor. If there was some information they thought would be helpful in the process or whatever, I would definitely be amenable to that. And I think too, our legal Mr. Ferguson, his advice is this was still planned for another month or so down the road. So yes, the fact that he hasn't gotten to it yet, I think there's some grace there. Totally understand. So thank you.
Okay, Ms. Barajas.
It's on that same issue. You're correct, Dave, on saying that it was about 8 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was former councilman Bob Larson that had brought it up several times, and we had a full room full of people from the Department of Health and other citizens. So I think it's in our best interest to have that open conversation before we decide on anything concrete.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harpster.
A quick Google search indicates that Washington State Department of Health must be notified 90 days in advance of making a decision to start or stop fluoridation. And so, sort of to Mayor's comments, I'm certainly in favor of removing it. Several cities across the state have been doing that in the last couple of years. But even if we wanted to vote next week, I think we need to, I'm not an attorney, but it seems like notify Department of Health, then 90 days later make a decision at a minimum. So there's my 2 cents.
Sounds good, Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm also for removing it. I've done quite a lot of research, I think, on this, and brought it up at a couple of retreats, but it didn't go anywhere. So it's good. At least we're gonna vote on it and see how it goes.
Are you looking for a presentation? Sorry.
Let's just do it the correct way. So what Mr. Ferguson recommends, I'll just let him decide and then go from there. But as long as it's going to come up for a vote this year, that's what my main concern is.
Okay. Ms. Blaisdell, you have anything?
I would like to go the proper channels.
Mr. Perales?
Hey, I was just gonna say, then can we direct the city staff to notice to the Department of Health, Washington State Department of Health, that we're looking to do this, and then as that plays out, we can get together information, have presentation, and then we can make a vote. Seems like prudent to me.
Go, Mr. Grimm, you went on.
I want to just get back to Mr. Brown at some point.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
I guess from my perspective, I'd like, in case there's something in that process and notice, I'd like Mr. Ferguson to advise us. That's my take. You know, I feels like it's, if there's a process, if we're just going to unilaterally say we're going to start it, that's great, but I don't know that what it takes to bake it out. Now, if it can be elevated up the sheet, that's great. That's my take. Does anyone have any different opinion? So, I guess there's either consensus that we just push the notice out now, or there's consensus that we await legal review. So please help me here.
I would just add, I'll just add that, okay, that we have until, Mr. Ferguson has till July 1st to give us something. And that's a month, right? Say by July, we should have something, a review, kind of a plan or a process of what we would need to do. And I think that would be appropriate. So I guess that would be my ask.
Okay, that seems to make sense. If you're good with that, you
It's
can
on
bring
June.
us back.
Just so you know, it's in the queue for June.
Okay.
So
Okay, so
not
then we'll anticipate something by July 1st regarding fluoride in the process. We good? All right, thanks. Okay.
My
Go ahead.
my comment was going to be if it's further along in the proposed agendas, so just follow that schedule. But if it's for July, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to get back to Mr. Brown's comments, as even brought up by Councilmember Perales there. He did reach out to me personally, and I know he also reached out to Councilmember Barajas, and she probably has some thoughts on that too. But I share his concern. I mean, I think that's, kind of where we're at even with the fluoride thing here. There are some unknown health risks that have come to light because of 5G internet technology that are concerning, and it is unfortunate that it sounds like, as our interim city manager said, that our hands are tied at government levels beyond the local level. But I really share Mr. Brown's frustration, and what might be in the right of way or an easement in his mind is in his yard and what he has maintained and mowed and all of that. So man, I really feel for his concerns, both in the intrusion into what he feels is his property where he's lived for a quarter of a century and maintained, but also the potential health risks with that. And so just kind of frustrated and feel for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Ms. Barajas.
I just wanted to follow up on that. Yes, I've had several conversations. Thank you for passing along the contact. Mr. Marcel Browns lives very close to me, actually. We are in the same district. Did reach out to him, had a conversation in regards to his frustrations around the antenna that is literally going to be, well, the proposal is that it's going to be in his front yard on an easement, just 3 feet from the sidewalk, basically. So he is frustrated. I've been having conversations with him routinely. We are getting together again to have that conversation as far as next steps, what to do, who to reach out to. We have reached out. He has reached out to our staff, Dave, and I think there's a meeting set up for the conversation. But this is ongoing. This is something that not only he is affected, his neighbors, but I think it's something that affects a lot of individuals within our city. So on my end, I'm just meeting with him and having that conversation just to see what next steps we can take as far as much as we are allowed to. So yeah, just an update on that.
Thank you for that. Seeing no further lights, we're going to move along to item 13, executive session. None listed. That moves us on to item 14. It is 8:05 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for joining us.
In a workshop setting, perhaps our next workshop, and council have the opportunity, well, give you a presentation on it and what we can and can't really do, and have council the opportunity to ask those kind of questions. I think that would, one, help council understand some of the challenges of this, and two, it would give the public something that they'd be able to see, where we have our subject matter experts in a position where they can advise and discuss this issue with council in kind of a comprehensive manner with all three of those disciplines represented. I will say that if anybody is blocking or causing traffic problems specifically, that is something the police can do something about right now. So ask Pasco or call 911 if their behavior is dangerous or presenting a danger to the community. I would encourage people to call 911 and deal with that. But I think if council can be patient and give us a couple weeks to come back with a kind of a detailed presentation, and I think that'll be beneficial rather than trying to solve it tonight.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Herbster.
Thank you. I wanted to add on to Mr. Zabel's comments about Sergeant Gregory. I thought I'd share sort of a humorous first interaction. My dad started with PD in the late 90s, and at the time, and I could be mistaken on details, but what's burned in my memory is Brad Gregory, not yet a sergeant, was working undercover and had a mullet that was permed and a cut-off Raiders jersey. And I remember my dad introduced me to him. I'm like, this guy's not a cop. Like, something's going on here. And was very intimidated by him for several years. And so that was the beginning. And then the end, sort of his career, I had some interaction with him last year where we were dealing with some things at our house. And it was kind of cool to come full circle, no longer scared of him. and having him help me and my family, my kids out. So he's, I've always enjoyed seeing him, and it not always, I guess. In the beginning I didn't, but I've really, we're lucky as the city of Pasco to have somebody like him who has worked for this city for 33, 4 years. And so I'll be there Wednesday and hope to see you all there as well. On the vendors selling the oranges and tomatoes, I would definitely love a workshop presentation. I think that'd be super helpful. Not just for my own knowledge, but folks reached out to me last week on two things. One, the smell that was going on whatever day that was, that seems to have been asked and answered. And then these vendors, and I don't have a good answer for them. And so the workshop would help me to be able to have an answer. And I also, like Ms. Preston, I want to know what can we do and what can't we do? Where are the limits? And, explore what we can do. For instance, several months ago, maybe this time last year, I think Chief Roski indicated that if they're blocking sidewalk traffic, then now there's an issue. And, some of them on Route 68, you guys might have seen, will line up their flowers along the sidewalk and then stand there. So if I'm walking by and they move out of the way, are they no longer blocking? I've just got a lot of questions like that would be great for a workshop discussion. A couple other questions. The city manager update, there was an email that indicated that GMP was in the information gathering phase. Can you help me understand what exactly does that mean? What does that entail?
So part of that, thank you. Part of that process would be individual conversations which you had scheduled with council members as well as department directors. And so it's really to kind of get your individual take on characteristics you might want to see in the next city manager experience, those kind of things, as well as your thoughts on the goals and objectives, the major challenges, opportunities you see ahead for the city on the near term and maybe the midterm, things that you're expecting the manager to weigh in on immediately. It's helpful to have that information. Well, the other piece, the third leg of that really is, what is it about the city that brought you here and keeps you here? Because part of this is marketing and trying to describe this opportunity in a way that, prospective candidates are going to look at it and say, this is a place that I want to be. This looks really exciting. And it's a reflection on, the corporate outlook of the city council as well. So then the next piece of that is, after we have that kind of information, is this meeting that was going to happen tonight, talking to council about corporate view and very similar questions. And also, I think the other piece of this is, Greg was going to talk to you about market and salary range and things like that too. I shared with Councilmember Perales before the meeting that unfortunately the consultant couldn't be here tonight due to illness, but we'll have him back at workshop in a couple of weeks. But we're not going to slow the process down or let the schedule slip by 2 weeks. We're going to continue those interviews. Probably will be me instead of Greg, and Greg will then talk to council at the workshop level. But we'll continue that out so we can start to develop that profile and maintain the schedule that was provided previously to you. So the other piece of that is your key staff talking. We have the city manager has a number of direct reports, and so those similar kind of questions will be asked of key staff. I mean, this is your employee, and your stamp needs to be on it. This is their boss, their supervisor, and having an understanding of the perspective of the directors, I think, is really important too. And not only is it important in the profile, it's important for the recruiters, because when you're talking to prospective candidates, understanding where council or staff are coming from, understanding what they're hopeful of seeing, whether it's reasonable or not, is worth knowing when you're talking to prospective candidates. And I'll just say, having been in here now, a couple months, this is a council that is very action oriented. That's going to attract a certain kind of candidate. It'll probably not attract candidates that are more process oriented. So those are the kind of things we want to communicate in a profile to them, is how this council operates and what their expectation of their employee is.
Okay, appreciate that explanation. That's very helpful. And then last time was short-term rentals. It's been like 8 or 9 months since we first gave direction to staff to prepare a presentation on that. And I know we've discussed it via email or whatever a couple times, but what progress has been made to that and so far, and when is staff currently anticipating to bring that to council?
Well, not a cop-out, but I wasn't here for short-term rentals, and it's been on our list, and I know I've mentioned it in a couple reports to you that we want to have that discussion with you. Our real hope was that we could have had some time in the past couple of times, the 31st or this past Saturday, to have that discussion. What I think what we can do now, and we had talked a little bit about, we have some Fifth Mondays coming up at the retreat. Remember the last agenda on the item was, or the last item on the agenda was to discuss with council a potential second retreat where we'd get into budget and some of those other issues. I think where council was at, or where I kind of sense we left it, was we're not probably necessarily looking at more Saturdays, but let's maybe have a little bit longer workshop. I heard the idea of starting at maybe 6 on a couple of those, and that might give us some opportunities to dig into an item, for instance, like short-term rentals. It seems to me that we're probably a half hour from having some pretty good direction from you. We just need to have the opportunity to have that discussion, give you the presentation, get some feedback on what you're looking for that'll be concise enough that'll give legal and our planning staff the ability to go put regulations together and bring them back to you.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, if council, following up our conversation on Saturday, if their desire to try to move up next couple workshops, maybe not the next one, but the one after, to 6, maybe that's a great opportunity to add that as an item.
Yeah, I for
And
one
some of
would
the
love
other-
to do that because, like I said, it's been 8 months, and I bring this up because yesterday, front page of the paper was the headline: "Why 2,000 workers were just hired at Northwest only nuclear power reactor," in the subheadlines about how most short-term rentals are full. And unfortunately, City of Pasco didn't get to take advantage of that. So, like we've mentioned tonight, regarding the cities around Kennewick and Richland are doing it, and so really think we're missing out. When we talked 8 months ago, there was not a consensus to allow short-term rentals through a code amendment, but there was consensus to discuss it. And so I'd definitely be in favor of doing that in, I think you said 4 weeks or so. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Blaisdell.
I just have a question regarding the vendors on the side of the road. If that would qualify under a peddler's license, and if when you do present that, if you could include peddler's license, so we understand what that is versus people selling on the side of the road. Thank you.
We will certainly go over that discussion.
Thank you. And Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to add what is now a fourth head nod that, yes, I would love to see that vendor discussion as soon as possible for really all the reasons Mr. Perales brought up, but also it's just becoming an eyesore. I mean, a lot of us are here because we don't want to be in California, but it's things like this that kind of make us look like that. And as much as, we can get away from that as possible, yes, and I would love it at staff's the earliest time they can bring it back, because we're in springtime and they're just going to get more entrenched and into the community, and as soon as we can get them out, for lack of a better phrase, would, I think, behoove the quality of life of our community. So thank you, and I would also, yes, love to have that short-term rentals discussion in 4 weeks as discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights and nothing from staff, that moves us on to item number 7, which is executive session. None is listed, which puts us to adjournment. It is 8:41 and we are now adjourned. Thank you for sticking around.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Pasco Council meeting. The City Council thanks you for being part of our city government. At meetings, the City Council takes formal action on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other business of the city. Agenda packets are available at the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC-TV, channel 191, on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and Microsoft Teams webinar. This and previous council meetings video is available on the city's website. Lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions by contacting the city manager, city clerk, or by using the Ask Pasco app. And with that, we are going to do a roll call.
Councilmember Barajas,